and it is reaction coming out of the Constitutional Court, which has dismissed with cost the Department of Tourism's bid to appeal a Supreme Court ruling regarding the allocation of COVID-19 relief funds. The SCA found that it was unlawful for the department to require that businesses meet the broad-based black economic empowerment requirements in order to be considered for the money. Let's get reaction now and hear from the Afriforum lawyer, Ernst. Mr. Van Zyl, thank you very much for your time. Your reaction on what the Chief Justice had to say, and that is among the other issues, perhaps most prominently, is that there was no sound reason for the Concourt to hear the matter because this was a moot point. You claiming victory?
Absolutely. This is a decision and a judgment that we fully welcome and are very glad about. We're very glad that the Constitutional Court found that the Supreme Court of Appeal's decision to rule that using racial criteria in the Tourism Relief Fund was unlawful, and we're very glad to have come to this point where we can have yet another judgment that sets a precedent that shows that there's no place for racially discriminatory relief funds like this. And hopefully this sets now the example for the future that the government, if they were to ever in the future consider to implement another type of relief fund based on racial criteria like this, another discriminatory relief fund, maybe they'll think twice after this massive blow to their agenda.
Yeah, I'm raising this point, or I asked you this question in this fashion because it does appear that there is no finality per se, because the Concourt simply says our workload is so much that we cannot spend time discussing a moot point, a point that these funds were already dispersed. We have sort of moved along from the COVID crisis. Perhaps another case could come to the court that could help us unpack the very issue that the department wanted clarified. So again, I ask you the question, can you really call it a victory?
Absolutely, because I think this substantiates, even though you are absolutely correct in regards to the nature of the judgment, this just substantiates the previous judgment by the Supreme Court of Appeal that declared the use of racial criteria here as unlawful. Therefore, I highly doubt that the government will try to approach the Constitutional Court again, seeing as the Constitutional Court said that they will be very wary about accepting any such approach in the future. Therefore, that is a clear indication for me that the Supreme Court of Appeal's judgment that using racial criteria in the Tourism Relief Fund is unlawful is furthermore substantiated, and that is the judgment that sends the clear message, and that judgment has just been given more weight.
Yeah. I don't know whether there is room for us to discuss broad-based black economic empowerment and where Afriforum stands. I don't want to assume that you stand against it, but was this specifically around COVID funds? Because we know that this was a global pandemic, and I suppose the outcry, as you say, was that you cannot use race-based requirements in order for businesses to be helped. But in general, the application of B-BBEE when it comes to government funds, where do you think that discussion stands, and what is your stance, by the way?
I'm glad these types of debates come to the fore. That's what these types of judgments make them so valuable, is that they get these debates and discussions started. We might call it black economic empowerment in simple terms, but it has nothing to do with the empowerment of black South Africans. It has just become a vehicle of corruption and a vehicle for the politically connected to get tenders and to get opportunities and funds and government assistance. I mean, you can just ask any South African whether they have benefited from black economic empowerment policies. You'll be hard pressed to find one, because we've seen the results of it, and you should judge the policy not by what it says it's trying to do, but rather by what it has already done or what it has achieved. And what it has achieved has just been an avenue for corruption and an avenue for cadre economic empowerment. The empowerment of those with the right political connections and those that know the right people, that are lucky enough to be family members of people in government, or are lucky enough to be friends of people in government. That's the fruit of this tree, and that's what we judge it on. We don't judge it on what it's called or what it said it's going to try and achieve. We judge it on what it has achieved, and what it has achieved is exactly that, a completely opposite of what it says it's trying to do. And you can see the results in our economy and our unemployment rates and all those indicators around us. The evidence is quite clear as day. You only need eyes to see.
Yeah, your argument, it's created cronyism. Let's leave the discussion there. Thank you very much for your time. Ernst van Zyl is a lawyer representing Afriforum.